Welcome back. Before we go further, I want to explain what the idea of a Carmelo Anthony farewell tour tells us about the modern American professional athlete. Over the course of the last 50 years, as television's money and spotlight have transformed the games, an athlete's primary role has transitioned from role model to royalty. Let that sink in for a beat. Role model to royalty. A role model in sports is an athlete who appears to sacrifice personal gain for the benefit of team success. He's a leader. He's a champion. His public persona is humble. He's respectful of authority. He tries to behave in a way that puts his team and teammates in the best light. Obviously, not all stars of yesteryear checked all those boxes, thank God. And obviously, some of today's stars check many of those boxes. Steph Curry and Tom Brady come to mind easily. But what is true today is that the modern athlete in general and a growing number of sports fans prioritize royalty and celebrity over being a role model. Charles Barkley's legacy is outliving Walter Payton's. That's the only explanation for the silly belief that Carmelo Anthony deserves a farewell tour. Portland star Damian Lillard gave voice to this belief. He's campaigning over Twitter for a Melo farewell season. Why? I'm sure he feels sorry for Melo, but it also speaks to the mindset of the current professional athlete. Ask not what you can do for the game, ask what the game can do for you. After giving Carmelo more than $250 million over the course of his career, the game still owes Melo? Really? Is Carmelo entitled to another year in the NBA, and NBA fans and teams should all drop to their knees and venerate a man who never won a title, never finished higher than third in the MVP voting, and doesn't have a signature moment in the NBA? Really? This is how the Brits treat royalty. People who have never accomplished anything beyond being famous. We left England and kicked their ass in a war because we rejected the whole notion of royalty and special people. Athletes have joined the royal class in money and in sense of entitlement. You can see it everywhere. Through Title IX legislation, the United States government has spent billions of dollars empowering women's college soccer programs for nearly 50 years. The investment has produced a juggernaut U.S. women's national soccer team. The U.S. Soccer Federation subsidizes their play in a professional league. But these same women have convinced themselves and a segment of the public they're exploited and mistreated. No, they're just entitled, just like male athletes. They're no different from King LeBron James. There's hundreds of years of evidence that parents can go to their child's sporting events without celebrating with the kids on the court during the game. I mean, I watched Dale and Sonya Curry do it every season in the NBA. Those rules don't apply to a king, and Lord help anyone who tries to mention those rules to a king. His worshipers will cut videos and raise hell all across the internet explaining how rules don't apply to a king. I don't like elites. I don't like elitist behavior. I got old school American values. The sports world doesn't anymore. All right, joining us again is Ric Bucher. Marcellus, I'll start with you. Have money and fame turned modern athletes into royalty?
No, and not a fan of the word royalty in this question, because royalty implies blood, status, lineage. You know, royalty, as you even mentioned. I don't know any athletes, including Steph Curry, that just rolled out of bed and say, oh, daddy did it, so I'm guaranteed to do it. Think about when you're a son of the king. Think about little Simba. He was going to be Mufasa in the circle of life. It just was going to be. That's how it goes. But that's not how it goes for an athlete. So I grew up in a world where the cool kids were always the athletes. I remember learning this from media and watching The White Shadow and everything else growing up in the 70s and 80s, which you go to a park then, you go to a park now. Every parent is out there throwing the ball with their kids. Because everyone knows that this can give your kid some discipline, identity, work habits, work ethic, but no guarantees. But at least builds up a person, a character that can blossom into this. But the money and the fame, it was always there. It was just on a different scale. Trust me, when Sugar Ray Leonard signed his first deal of over $1 million, the world went crazy in the early 80s. Remember when Magic signed a 25-year, $25 million deal? We were like, how much? Insane. Back then, I understand that it has grown exponentially since then, but it was always a relative scope of us commoners, non-athletes, looking at those guys with high reverence and respect that they worked on their craft. Nothing given in blood, status, or lineage. They earned every single opportunity.
I'm glad you brought up the financial aspect of this, because what happens as soon as the guy gets paid? Now the criticism changes.
Yeah.
And to me, what this does is that it underscores the distinction between the way the public and the media view athletes and the way their peers view them. They look at Carmelo Anthony, and they're not looking at him and saying, you know what, boy, he was stealing money from the New York Knicks. He didn't take full advantage of Oklahoma City or Houston.
Yeah.
They just look at him and say, man, that guy could ball. That guy can play. And I've played against him. They don't care how he related to the media. It's, can he play? And I'm going to use an example of a guy who, David Lee. David Lee, when he was with the New York Knicks and he was making $800,000, was beloved by the New York Knicks and their fans.
Yes.
And then he signed the big deal and he went to the Golden State Warriors, and it was all about all the things that David Lee could not do. What had changed? David Lee hadn't changed, and what he could do, it was how much he was getting paid. And I believe that that is the great distinction, is that we look at Carmelo Anthony, media, public, and say, farewell tour, what has he done? And the players look at it and say, man, I respect the hell out of him because he could ball. That dude was a scorer.
Well, I think they look and say, he's part of our elite group, and he should be treated that way. And because we all like him, and he's made a ton, because again, players do look and go, man, he can play. But they also look, man, he made a lot of money.
But they don't begrudge him for that.
No, I'm not saying they begrudge. I'm not saying they begrudge him. But that makes him part of the elite club, because when you make $250 million in this country, you become an elite.
For sure.
And it doesn't matter if it's through blood, lineage, or whatever gifted to you. You've now entered into a profession that makes you an elite. Just like it's like Hollywood celebrities. In movies and stuff, they've been a part of the elite class and the entitled class, and athletes are now right there with them. And I think the way we treat them is like royalty. We're very protective of them. And again, it's like, because this week, the protection of LeBron James, which we have debated. I sit there as a journalist and go, that dude's worth $500 million. That's not who I'm worried about protecting as a journalist.
Sure.
I'm protecting the have-nots, and he is definitely a have and will be for the rest of his life. And so it's not even in my instincts. This dude got worth $500 million. He's fine and can protect himself. He's someone to be analyzed and discussed and blah, blah, blah. He's not, from my perspective, someone to be protected. But we're in this era now where I do think we look at the elite athletes and elites in general, Jay-Z, Beyonce, whomever. We must protect them. We must worship them. I just,
but
I have no interest.
How is that applying right now? Let's talk about Carmelo, who's not protected, at least by the outsiders, the critics. The perception of Carmelo is he's getting drugged through the mud despite putting up 24 points a game and having an elite career to maybe his peers and those who know the game. So if he's being protected, by who? It's not even the players, because he's not elite to the players. He's a part of what we do, but he's one of the best to do it. So think about it. So there's no elitism within Damian Lillard saying this. He's like, the dude needs his fair due. That's not elitism, like I'm looking up to him. He's like, y'all gonna disrespect and undermine this greatness? You said it. I told you, man, the day you make it, everyone else changes first. I said it earlier. I remember, this is a true story. I went to the mall the day before I got drafted, get my outfit ready for my draft party. Gotta be right. Forgot my bandana, got drafted, went the next day after I got drafted. You know the day when I went in there, before I got drafted, I walked in, paid, left. The day I got drafted, they wouldn't let me leave that store, signing stuff, taking pictures. I'm like, man, 24 hours. So y'all gonna put this on me? I think Carmelo needs to be protected by what he put up. not by royalty, because it wasn't given to him, and not by the outside criticism that is misperceiving his greatness.
I think we also, because of social media, we're more aware of how athletes feel about other athletes.
Yeah.
That's advertised. And we're more conscious of what people, the noise of, that dude's not worth that money. The hyper-criticism of athletes from the public and the media is louder than it's ever been. And we see that divide between how guys feel who are playing versus the people who are watching.
Say it.
The notion of a farewell tour for Carmelo Anthony bothers me.
I hear you.
Why?
I hear you.
Why?
Because I
hear you. I'm listening.
reserve that for the Kareems, the Kobes, the Michaels, the great champions, the guys that, to me, prioritize winning over getting buckets. And so when I hear, and look, again, I'm sure some of this is Damian Lillard feels sorry because Carmelo should be in the league. He's not in the league because of Carmelo. If he would embrace the mentality of a role player and bench player, he'd be in the league. I get it. Damian Lillard, they're friends probably, and he feels sorry. But even just the notion of a farewell tour, why? And the only reason he's part of the clique. He's part of the elite clique. He's one of the Banana Boat boys, and he's made $250 million. He's an elite. We should all venerate him. And I'm like, you got to earn that, brother, and it takes more than some buckets.
But there is respect within the league for Carmelo that there is not outside of it. That's just the reality. And I'm not saying you're wrong in how you judge him. As long as you're consistent across the board, I'm good with that. I'm just saying that the players in the league view it. Derrick Rose is another one. I could give you a list of players.
I got more respect for Derrick Rose. But I'll just say this about the elite players, protecting their elite people. If Damian Lillard was real, and Damian, I have great respect for you, love you as a player. But if he were keeping it real, he'd be like, hey, man, Melo, bring it back a notch or two, accept being a sixth man and play with the second unit, and you'll be in the league. Instead, he jumps to, man, we need to give this dude a farewell season.
I think you jump to that because what if he doesn't? Like, who cares how he landed his plane? We talking about the altitude he soared at, and you're not going to even respect that? Who cares about the damn landing? Here's the thing. Dwayne Wade, who's an amazing player, great one, stuck his landing, but he got a farewell tour. I'm telling you, player to player in terms of respect, because you're going to say the demarcation is Dwayne Wade won championships.
No.
What else?
Dwayne Wade was a better player than Carmelo Anthony.
Good.
Period. In the story.
I don't want to be absolute with you, brother, so we're not going to argue. I'm just telling you what players going to say. They're in the same
And they wrong.
They're in the same world.
And they wrong.
Here's one.
Okay. Argue with them then. Because I'm going to say, they're like...
Dwayne Wade's the third or fourth best shooting guard of all time.
I give you all of...
Small forwards? I got a long list.
We're talking accomplishments
versus
ability.
Game.
Pure ability.
Accomplishments? It's not even close.
I've said it.
He said he's not talking just accomplishments.
You're talking accomplishments.
I'm talking both.
Carmelo averaged more points in career. Like he was revered as the best individual.
This man carried the Miami Heat to a title with
Shaq wasn't there?
With the Shaq.
You can carry 400 pounds of Shaq.
With the Shaq, the ghost of Shaq.
You carrying 400 pounds of Shaq? That's carrying?
There was some other guys
He's the
involved.
third or fourth best shooting guard of all time.
All I'm saying is
this man's not better than Alex English.
Carmelo Anthony has accomplishments, Olympic level, etc.
In our next show.
I'm about to say, don't you do that. They're in the same locker room in terms of greatness.
You can't pull that out at the
Jay
end.
Glazer says Jason Garrett is on the hottest seat in the NFL.
Man.
We'll tell you if the Cowboys coach survives the season.
Now scrap that. Let's go back out there.
Come on, no kidding.